Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grip Locked, Foundation Disc Golf's weekly podcast in a rather unique space here.
Yeah.
So, as I'm sure you can see behind us, there's a basket in between Trevor and I's heads. That is actually hole 17 out here at the Boulder course at North Cove in Marion, North Carolina, where we are at on site for the National Collegiate Disc Golf Championships.
I feel like every year this event just gets bigger and better. They invited us out here this year to help cover it and get some media, so we're going to be here all week. If you're keeping an eye on our Instagram, on our YouTube channel, all that stuff, there's going to be a lot of content shot out here. I think a lot of people don't know about this, and it's funny because like college sports are such a big deal, but a lot of people haven't like really hooked on to the college disc golf thing. But there's like legitimately like 700 plus kids out here, like college students playing. There's so many different schools. This event is really cool, and we're excited to be here.
Yeah, we're stoked to be out here and bring this to you. Actually, we're going to be doing special editions of Grip Locked each night once the tournament starts. So it starts Wednesday night, and we're going to be calling this is a series actually we're hoping to take to other pro tours.
Yeah.
If we get out to some, maybe even USDGC this year, if we can make it out to that, called On the Grounds, where essentially we'll try to get some player interviews as the rounds wrap up. We're going to be watching the rounds out there. Obviously, like Trevor said, you can follow some of that on social. Also, Central Coast is going to be covering the men's Division I team.
Yeah.
I believe he said Sky Heiser is going to be covering the women's Division I team.
Yeah, full coverage.
So you'll be able to watch the coverage as it comes out, but then we'll be giving you kind of like podcast-style recaps.
Yeah.
And we'll also be giving you some Instagram reel stories and stuff like that throughout the week. We're very excited to be out here.
And at the very least, even if you don't care about the college disc golf scene, just watch the coverage for the courses out here alone, because basically this property has 3 different courses on it, and it used to be a golf course, but it's like tucked in the mountains, and it's fantastic.
Yeah,
like, it's so cool.
Where we're sitting right now is actually our Airbnb that College Disc Golf, again, huge shout out to College Disc Golf in general. They hooked us up, putting us up in this Airbnb this week. And I'm assuming this Airbnb can be rented just throughout the season. And like I said, that's hole 17's basket right there. Like you can walk onto the disc golf course. Obviously, there's a pro shop here at North Cove. You check in there and everything, but like you're just in it. You're here. Like, I mean, Trevor and I are just licking our chops looking at this. Like, I mean, how am I not throwing 100 shots at that thing? But
you can go to, I think collegediscgolf.com is like where you want to go if you want to follow some stuff and look at the schedule and just learn more about college disc golf.
And if you're close, we're in Marion, North Carolina, not that far out of Charlotte.
Yeah.
Come watch it. It goes through Saturday.
Yeah.
Come watch a national champion.
Huge bogey road battle going down tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're playing the Ohio State University.
The Ohio
tomorrow.
State, yeah.
Very exciting stuff. But let's get into the podcast. We're going to start it off with a Patreon question of the week, which will kind of cover something we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. Probably not too much later in the show. But PWheat23 over on Patreon. Shout out to our Heiser Club members. You can check it out at patreon.com/Foundation Disc Golf. We still have a free trial going on as Trevor and I are getting rained on now. We still have a free trial going on over there. So if you want to check out all the free content and everything, it is free now. For 30 days. So, but PWheat23, shout out to him. He said, if you had input on what Paul does with the new land purchase in Florida, what would you do with the course?
You know,
I want to kind of spin this a little bit because I've never been to that property, the Throwdown the Mountain. If you're not aware, we're going to talk about this a little bit later in the show. But Paul and Dylan Cease just recently purchased the land that the Throwdown the Mountain course is on.
I'd love to know how much that costs.
Which is exciting. It was apparently going to be like 6 homes developed on it.
So it couldn't have been cheap.
Yeah, but very exciting times. But anyways, I've never been on that property, so I'm not going to speak to like property specific what I would do.
Yeah.
So I want to spin the question slightly and say, if you were to buy a piece of property and your intention was to make it a disc golf property, what are some of the like key things you're doing to make sure it has out there?
I've had people ask me this a few times. First of all, I thought it was super funny. I saw him originally post that he had bought this property in Florida, and then somebody I didn't even read it really, I just kind of glanced at it, and then somebody told me it was a Throwdown the Mountain property, and I was like, oh, and then I forgot, and then when on the coverage Terry Miller mentioned, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. But I've had this question asked me a few times, like somebody literally saw me at one of our local courses the other day and was like, it's like, what would it take to like make a successful disc golf course? And I think the model is different based on like what you're like. For Paul McBeth and Dylan Cease, you know, 2 guys that they could do it for the love of the sport. They're not trying to, they're not necessarily trying to make a profitable business.
They also won't have to spend a lot of marketing.
Exactly. And so like for them, I think a lot of times the model for like pros or like guys that have a lot of money and just kind of love the sport is more so like, how do we make the best course possible and that's basically it. But if somebody came to me and was like, you have X amount of money to make a profitable business disc golf course, I think there are a few crucial things. Number one is location. The most important thing is location. I'm going as close to Charlotte as I can get. That's where I'm going. Number two is the style of course that you build. A lot of these courses that like pros are going to design are going to be like championship level courses. I'm designing a pretty easy course, a really nice manicured course. I want it to be a manageable property, but I want it to be pretty easy to where like a good player is still going to want to play it. Good players go to like the peaks views in our areas, but I want it to be accessible to everybody and not intimidating. And then number three, I think you have to add another tourism aspect to it, like a restaurant bar type situation. And that's what I would be doing. So I would be like thinking of it more of like a Topgolf model, to where like people that go to Topgolf aren't all golf fanatics. They're just allured by the idea that like it's a fun night out.
Did you see they now have Topgolf for baseball?
I saw it for basketball.
What? I didn't see basketball.
It was a model. So somebody
Oh no, this is opening.
Well, this is a real company.
Okay.
That had a 3D model of what they're trying to build.
Okay.
And it's basically like shooting bays wrapped around like the main like seating area, and like it's like a half.
This is like a home run derby. So like you have a pitching machine, it pitches to you, and you just
this one you just shoot jump shots.
That
would be my model. If I was trying to make a profitable business, because then the last part of my equation is like you have to figure out a way, and this is kind of through the money that the restaurant would make, and like the rest of it is like you got to figure out a way to make that golf round cannot cost more than $10. It cannot.
I agree with that point. I would disagree somewhat on what the draw to the property would be. What I would do is, I think it's got to be the end goal has got to be to get on the Pro Tour, because I think that's like
somebody just hit an early tree on 18. By the way, I love that. Oh, and it was a Liberty
it's a
player
Liberty
too.
guy too. Oh, unbelievable. Brutal there. But I think the goal of the property like is to get on the Pro Tour, because I think that's a big tourism thing. Is like you want to play that course
with the disc golf market though. I'm not trying. I'm trying to hit the disc golf market, because disc golf market's going no matter what. If a place like that opens, they're going.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hit the other part of the market.
Well, so what I'm
the undiscovered
you're trying
market.
to get just like randos to your course to eat at your restaurant.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So what I'm doing.
I don't think you're going to make a profitable disc golf course off of disc golfers, because they know better. They know they can play courses for free.
But
that are good.
What I think you can do is the Pro Tour layout is a tournament-only layout. And what I'm doing is I'm running a few tournaments a year. Mm-hmm. One is the Pro Tour event.
Okay.
But then there's a few other tournaments. That's your only chance to get to play that event. And obviously you're going to have to pay for that. So my goal is I'm running at least like 2 or 3 events a month plus weeklies out there that are all paid to enter. I'm vending at all of those, and I'm making that more my model. The pay-to-play rounds are going to be $5-10, but that's just like supplementary. If I make some money on that, I make some money on that. But my goal is monetize the events that are going on out there more so than anything. But I think that similarly to what this property's done, where they have the gorge, we haven't actually played the gorge yet, but from what I understand, the more tougher level. But then they have the boulders, which was just a blast.
Yeah,
lots of birdies to be had. Very well manicured course, just a fun course. And they have River Run, which is even easier than that.
Yeah.
To where your average everyday player can come out here and play a few rounds of disc golf and have a blast for $20, because it's like what, $5-10 a round out here.
Yeah.
So I think that model course wise, but I think that you got to have a Pro Tour course, because like people travel to go play Maple Hill.
It's true.
I would want to establish that, and then have the dumbed down version of it that like your average everyday player can come play. But Maple Hill Golds is only an event course. Yeah, that's it. I
just don't know what I'd love to know like for Maple Hill, for example, because like I would say they're the number one tourism course. Other than everything in Lynchburg this year, I would say New London has got to be making its way up that list, because we have a lot of people that are traveling to play.
That is true. It is like multiple groups a week of you all come into our shop. And they're like from, just last week, Michigan, Canada, tons from North Carolina and South Carolina, Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Yeah. That's just like in the last 2
People
weeks.
are coming to play New London a lot. But
Lynchburg tourism is probably just like, what is going on right now?
They're printing money, man. Disc golf is driving everybody to our city. I'd like to know like Maple Hill, because like that would be like in my mind, if I were like, I'm going to go travel and stay and play a disc golf course, it's there. I mean, Boston's only like an hour and a half away. Like that's where I'm going. So I'd be curious to know just how much tourism dollars they actually make in a year. And what
I will say
really
that Maple
drives.
Hill, I don't know if they still do it, but their model originally, they were their Christmas tree farm, right?
Well, I'm sure they still are.
So like
Yeah.
that kind of plays to what you were saying.
Well, yeah, I would say
A dual use
number
property.
2 strategy for me would probably be to have something like that, or a farm, or anything there's a course in Topsail, North Carolina, that is a peanut farm.
Oh, okay.
Like, and it's part of the property. So like that's the other huge play. If you just have a big old property you're farming on,
Yeah,
and you just
that's
have
true.
some spare land, then it just becomes a side hustle at that point, and then who cares if it's profitable? Like it's easy to maintain. So that would be another way to go about it. But like obviously that's a different vibe. You're now basically, I hope you know how to hope you want to brush up on your Farming Simulator 2021 or whatever the game is. If if you get handed that one.
Yeah, if that's what your
If that's the route you're going to go.
strategy.
Did you see I don't know if you were going to talk about this, but did you see the PDGA posting their warning for Worlds registrations?
I
think
did
we
see
all
that.
saw
Well, I thought it was
coming.
very funny that you. Well, because so up to this point we've seen, which good on the PDGA, because we talked about this. If you're not familiar, basically what happened was the 16 notable players, top players ish,
Yeah.
didn't make registration for Champions Cup, and we talked about this at Grip Block like last week. Because I don't think the PDGA necessarily made a mistake. I think there was an oversight, but I wouldn't call it a mistake.
No.
But what we have seen is with Worlds, we saw Drew Gibson tweet out a picture where a mass text went out. And then we saw the tweet go out and the post go out. They're like, hey, right, which I've seen those before, but I think it's more so you're aware of it.
Right.
I thought it was very funny that you were like at all the pros. People were doing it in the comments. You see that?
Oh,
People
yeah,
were like,
I know.
At
People
Ezra,
were
I got
adding,
you, bro.
I know. It was very funny.
But there has been an increased effort, which I think that's the right move. Like, it wasn't a mistake that the PDGA needs to make a statement like we messed up, because no, you didn't.
No,
Again,
yeah.
like I said on debate night,
It was kind of
this
it was just a weird learning experience, I think. And
yeah. And players were trying to compare it to all kinds of different things. Someone actually said in one of our comments on debate night, bowling, I believe, is a similar way, where
that's funny.
bowlers have to register for even the major events. Like, they are responsible for signing up.
That makes sense. I feel like disc golf and bowling are like on a very similar level. I probably just offended bowlers. I'm sure bowling is much larger. I don't know though.
The tough part,
I actually don't know.
I would say,
what's Jason Belmonte's net worth? Because he's the guy.
bowler.
He's the guy. And so
what I
if he's
will
not
say
worth more than Paul, then we're
what I will say
golden.
is I've never even considered watching bowling, and I know his name.
I sure.
And I also know Pete Weber's name.
Yeah, I mean,
People who have never
that's
considered
true.
watching disc golf wouldn't know Paul or
bowling
Climbos.
has
now
always had a cult
I do know
following.
Jason Belmonte because of Dude Perfect.
Yeah, what the heck, dude?
So
All right, let's see what his net worth
Let's lean
is.
into that a little bit.
What would you have to guess?
The best bowler in the world,
I feel like I'm gonna be sick. And
25 mil.
Celebrity net worth has him at $3 million.
Okay.
We're bigger than bowling.
Well, that's net worth.
We're bigger than
The
bowling.
dude could be earning $3 million a year.
We're bigger than bowling.
Wow.
I don't know. He's got like a whole brand and everything.
Well, does celebrity net worth even have Paul?
$3 million is pretty bad. Like, well, it's not bad. Let me be clear.
Yeah, $3 million.
I'm like, mine's like 7. So
$3 million is nothing.
I mean, he's been active since 2000, turned professional in 06.
No, does celebrity net worth have Paul?
I'm just gonna read. So during his career, he's cashed more than $1 million in events.
So that's. Do we have bowling?
I don't know.
But
Let's see if they have him on here.
I was gonna say, do we even
Paul
have
McBull.
Paul on there?
I'm sure they have Brody.
Net
He doesn't
worth.
count though.
No, Brody doesn't count.
Pro disc golfer Paul McBeth. Oh, they just have the article of him signing the $10 million contract.
Okay.
Hey,
Bowling's a good comp.
yeah. I mean,
Pickleball used to be.
Well,
Not anymore.
yeah, pickleball is scary.
You see, they're doing a celebrity thing with like Andy Roddick.
Yeah, with like the legendary Andre Agassi and whatnot.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sickening, man. Why can't we like have evolved from a sport so directly that like I guess that's what we got Brody Smith from.
That's true.
we
That's
got
true.
the ultimate frisbee legend, but like it's such a cheat code that pickleball has tennis to just like harvest
Yeah.
old guys.
Well,
from.
because you can even just do exhibition matches. You don't even have to have
I
old
know
guys.
it's ridiculous.
But no, but I think the PDGA, back to what you were saying of that announcement going out, I don't think that there was a situation where they had to make a statement. Speaking of statements, side note, never saw one from the Pro Tour in regards to the cameraman grenade situation.
Yeah, Pete Weber $4 million.
$4 million.
Net worth.
Okay.
Not
never
a great
saw
look.
that.
Not a great
so
look for
that
bowling.
one I did expect a statement. The PDGA didn't expect a statement, but I do think they're doing the right thing of like now, okay, they realize somewhere along the line someone not really made a mistake, but like it's an issue that needed to be addressed we didn't know needed to be addressed, and they're addressing it.
Yeah.
So like at the end of the day, I think they're doing the
I'm
right
pretty
thing.
bamboozled that there hasn't been a
Pro
a
Tour
statement from
statement?
the Pro Tour? That's pretty shocking. I mean, everybody literally watched a man get like absolutely almost decapitated on live television.
I mean, the only thing is he wasn't working for the Pro Tour.
I guess it's not really. I know he wasn't, but like the media teams there have to abide by the Pro Tour's say.
Is the Pro Tour maybe saying like they're deferring to gatekeeper, like, or maybe they?
I don't know, dude.
I mean, maybe there was a statement, it just wasn't well published. Because I didn't.
Sometimes things like end up on just like the backlogs of their website.
Yeah, they just throw it on the website. Like, what are you talking about? We did make a statement. You just have to go to announcement, news, then you're
Control
in last year's. You gotta get to this year's tab.
Yeah.
Pro Tour's website's brutal to navigate.
I haven't seen it. It looks nice, but it's
before we get into Trevor's trivia, I do want to touch on the Paul McBeth buying property, because we've heard players talk about this.
Yeah.
Where there have been several players where they were talking about wanting to buy up and like make a disc golf complex around Charlotte. And kind of go in together. Obviously, we've seen Paul do this in Good. He bought a piece of property, turned it into what is now Goliath. You can schedule a round to play there if you want. Obviously, Paul doesn't own that property anymore, but now we've seen him buy a property that has never been on, correct me if I'm wrong, never been a national tour or anything, just a really exclusive 8-tier. Throwdown the mountain.
Yeah. There's a chance. I don't want to.
It's been very well attended.
Yeah,
whatever
it's
level
always.
It has been.
I mean, it's one of the big Florida tournaments of the year.
Yeah,
Sun King puts it on.
I would say this has a better shot at ending up on the Pro Tour.
Well, it's got a really good shot now.
That's what I'm saying. Is like this property already has history.
Yeah.
Already a well-known course. Already a well-known tournament. Now you have the backing of greatest player of all time. Yeah. Also, very good course designer, and you have the backing of celebrity endorsement, and who knows what type of money with both of them put together they're willing to put into the property.
If Dylan Cease can hold it together until he hits free agency, they'll have a whole lot of money.
Maybe that's the play. Maybe they're just like, let's lay low.
I mean, I think he struck out 10 guys in his first start,
his opening
day start, which
Ricky
is like
was there, I think.
The crazy thing is, like, we've seen a few like celebrities and pro athletes like dabble with disc golf. But like Dylan Cease is like a legitimate ace. Like, he is actually phenomenal. Let's see. I think he gave up like 1 run, 6 and a third inning, 10 strikeout. Like, he's legitimately like really, really good, and could, like, if he continues playing this way and gets to free agency, like, could be like $100 million player who owns a disc golf course.
Yeah. Now the Dylan Cease angle obviously is a completely different angle than where my question's about to go. But who's another player recently bought up land, right? Or am I wrong? We've heard it talked about at least.
Yeah.
Several times. Do you think, like, because if you follow the money in the sport, right now, a lot of the spots, obviously the big manufacturers have the money, but a lot of times where that money ends up going is to player sponsorship.
Yeah.
Where we're seeing it. We've seen
Chris
and Tatar, Kona, Ricky, Paul.
Not going to the purses.
We don't know what Calvin's deal, but we can assume Calvin's deal was very lucrative.
Yeah.
We're assuming Gannon's going to walk into something lucrative whenever his whole lawsuit's done.
Alleged.
There's a lot of alleged stuff going around. Yeah, but we're assuming all of that stuff. So, but there's a lot of players with big money.
Yeah.
Do you think that is a direction that the sport is going to head, as far as, like, because the tour right now is headed towards golf courses where they obviously want private land that they fully control. But the tour, and I don't think it's the responsibility of the tour to buy up land for these courses.
Yeah.
There's not enough public interest for outside entities to be doing it that much. We're starting to see it with Eagles Crossing. We're sitting on North Cove, also a product of that. But a good, like, in-between route is the players. But do you think there's, like, ever conflict of interest? Like, is there anything that, like, it should be wearisome of players being the ones that kind of introduce the private disc golf courses to the tour?
I don't think so, because I think the players want to do it anyways. Like, for instance, like, Dylan Cease, like, I would bet that probably Dylan Cease, obviously a man of financial means, he's a professional baseball player, and he loves disc golf. He probably said to Paul, "Hey, I want to own a disc golf course," and Paul probably said,
"But he has one in Alabama. They're building that one out right now."
Well, maybe he wanted to do another one. I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, Paul probably said, "Hey, what do you think about this one in Florida?" Like, I think it's a passion project. And maybe Paul said, "Hey, if you want to, like, guarantee one gets on the Pro Tour, it'd be great to pick one that has a lot of history." Like, I think that for all the players doing it, I really don't think anybody right now is making a private disc golf course and genuinely thinking they're going to turn a huge profit. even if they get on the pro tour, it's passion project no matter what. And when there's not really money as a concern, if just getting on the tour is your goal, then there shouldn't really be a conflict of interest. I think it's cool that the players could like provide a way through their income from the sport to kind of give back in the sense of like providing these properties. But the good news is the tour can always move and jump around, even if this is just a stepping stone to something later down the line, or even if it gets to the point where the tour gets really big and decides to buy these properties from players.
Well, do you think that's the spot the tour should ever go? Is
The
like the tour
properties?
owning properties?
Probably not. I don't think so.
Because like the
I don't
problem
think
you
they'll
get
ever
into
have to.
No, I don't think so either. But I'm just saying the problem you get into with that is like, if it's a tour owned property, how do you ever leave it?
Yeah,
Like
you
when
don't.
it's time to it's time to say goodbye
you
to
either
a
sell the
course.
land or whatever. I mean, well, if it's, you would hope if the tour was going to invest in a property, they would make it so good that you're not leaving it at least for 100, 200 years. Like, that's
but
what
like
we'd
sometimes
like to see.
I mean, we've seen PGA tour courses like the Greenbrier, for instance, close to us, only 2 hours away, no longer on tour. So like imagine if, when that's on the Live Golf. But imagine what I'm saying is like if the PGA Tour owned that. Like it would be, you don't see it in golf, and I feel like there's a very good reason you don't.
Well,
it's a weird line.
Golf just doesn't have to.
No.
And the prestige, it's like, it's just like that whole model of like profitable disc golf courses is still like in its infancy. And there's still a lot that has to develop there as far as people figuring out the business model. There has to actually be a demand for it. Because like what golf does not have and will never have that disc golf has is public parks, right?
Yeah.
So like because of that, how do you start a profitable disc golf model when public parks, really nice ones a lot of times, exist with passionate communities that are upkeeping it for free with parks and rec budgets that are being allocated to them? Like disc golf has to get so popular and the demand has to be so high that a course can go in and manicure and make it so good that people are willing to pay money to forego those parks. That is a really tough way to, that's trying to start fire with wet logs basically. So in my mind, like we're just so far away from like that really being like the model of disc golf. But I think we're closer to getting a group of like 20 courses across the country that do happen to be privately owned and that we can utilize them as much as possible. But I mean, as pay-to-play disc golf, I think people a lot of times just skip that step of like, oh yeah, but you're going to have to beat the free disc golf because the free golf doesn't exist. They never had to beat that. That's really tough because like, I mean, I'm as passionate of a disc golfer as it gets, and you could take the best course in our area, New London, charge me $10 a round, and guess what? I'm going to play it 60-70% less than I would normally.
Yeah, no, I think I'd agree. I mean, because you'd have to be adding a lot of value outside of the course.
Yeah.
But at that point,
it could be done.
You're going to be charging $25.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying too. That's the other part is like because you have to get so much more added value. Like you need to basically be walking on it thinking this is perfectly manicured. There's like bathrooms and water. Yeah,
might be like in a gator
in carts or whatever. But at that point, you're right. Like now maintaining the land, which is kind of what I was saying with like my model would be to keep it small because like I think you have to make it look that nice. And if you're doing that on 60 acres, good luck.
Yeah,
you're not going to make it happen. So
yeah, it's it's exciting thing because realistically, more or less, what Paul and Dylan did is saved the Throwdown the Mountain course.
Yeah.
So I think that it was an investment for them, but I don't think that it was necessarily like they were seeking it. I think it just was like, hey, this course that Paul loves it, he dominates it. But this course is going to go away. This property's got potential. I don't think it's ever been a permanent course.
No,
I think it's
they
always
had 10
been
baskets out for Throwdown the Mountain.
I think it's always been temp. And they're like, hey, we can make this something permanent. We can make it. I think it was more so a cool. Yeah, I think it was more so just like a cool opportunity that opened up.
Yeah.
It'll be cool to see where it goes, but I think it does kind of open different conversations of like where lines should be drawn because we've seen the same questions being raised with 2024 Worlds, right?
Yeah.
Paul McBeth designed course at New London.
Yeah.
Very Paul friendly course in New London.
Sure.
Obviously we're biased to it because it's in our backyard.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting question to be raised of like if a player is designing a course to their strength, which they will. Course designers kind of do that by nature.
Oh yeah, everybody does.
If it's designed to their strength, and then the tour or Worlds or a major or anything like that comes to it, is it a weird line? And I don't know the answer because, like,
I don't think so. I don't think anybody's strength is like that good.
No, it's not like right now we have this stuff where like what Paul can do stuff that no one else can do with his consistency, but he can't execute throws no one else can execute.
I would say the only like way that would happen would be like if you basically design a course that only asked for forehands the whole time. But then even if you do that and you're Ricky Wysocki, you just brought a whole lot of guys into the picture that wouldn't be in the picture on a backhand friendly course. Yeah. So like I don't. That is the beauty of golf is like ultimately you can only do so much to make it work in your favor.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, that's gonna wrap up.
Do you want to talk about what happened at Throwdown?
We can pull it up.
Like a mini recap?
Yeah, we can pull up the mini recap.
Just a mini recap.
There's coverage of it. Shout out to the Disc Golf Guy.
Disc Golf Guy.
He's putting out a ton of videos.
Bro, Disc Golf Guy is just, he's on the grind. Dude is getting like 2 to 3 cards at like every time there's an event this year that I'm like, oh, like it's not being covered, but there's good names there. He's there every time.
Yeah. So Paul won it yet again.
What did he have taken it down by?
He won by 4 over Sullivan Tipton.
Okay. He only had a 1-stroke lead going into the final round, I believe.
Yeah, he shot a 56, tied his hot round out there.
Okay.
Final round over Sullivan Tipton, and then Joseph Anderson came in 3rd. There were some other notable names out there. I mean, it wasn't like a stacked field by any means, but you had Thomas Gilbert, Charlie Goodpasture, Randon Lotta, Johnny McRae, a lot of Florida locals.
Sal Schultz is out there.
Typically,
no, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
I lied. He was at the Open in Tallahassee.
Yeah. Typically, you get Calvin Heimberg out there, too.
Yeah.
Typically is when it falls. But this year, no Calvin. But Paul still took it down.
If you guys want to see something extraordinary, I believe it was round 2. There's a par 4 on that course that's 599 feet, slightly downhill, all the same. And it's like a tiny gap to the basket, and Paul parked it for eagle. So if you ever want to see something extraordinary.
I think round 1 and round 2, hole 1, like 3, it's 320, I think, uphill, but it plays like 350 something. I think he was a collective like 3 feet from the basket. The round 2 one, the
course looks tough. Like if you're watching,
just, like, pinned it.
He kind of was having that New London effect out there, where like you can tell he knows the property pretty well because like good players on his card. I think Perkins.
Yeah, Perkins.
Yeah, okay. I was like confusing my coverage. Yeah, I think Perkins is out there like struggling to shoot par, and he's like 10 under, and is like that's relatable. I get it. Like
I mean, but also. Shout out to Johnny McRae, who I believe
Johnny McRae hung in there.
I believe he was on. Yeah, he was on lead card round 2. He ended up shooting a 66 round 2. But Johnny back out there, finished top 10 out there. FPO, you had Natalie Ryan taking it down in a playoff over Morgan Linz, and then Morgan's sister Jordan Linz finishing 3rd.
Weren't those twins supposed to be like? Didn't they?
Are they twins or are they just sisters?
Or are they just sisters?
I don't know.
Aren't they supposed to be like the next big thing? Didn't they just win like under 18 Am Worlds or something?
They're not. Sisters? Are they that young? I'll look them up. I don't think so.
Or maybe they just won. Maybe it was just Am Worlds.
So
didn't they get like 1-2 or something?
Morgan, I think they went 1-2 at Am Worlds. Morgan so far this year has won the Open at Tallahassee, Palm Beach Classic, Gulf Coast Charity Open, and the annual Martin County Open. So she lost her first event of the year, came in 4th at Polk County Open, a B tier. Since then has won 4 events, 2 B tiers, 2 A tiers, and just lost in a playoff.
So maybe they're kind of going the Mandahanu route. Maybe
they are going to be actually on this property next week, the Blue Ridge Championship. They'll be out here.
Oh,
and then
that'd be interesting
it looks
to watch.
like at least Morgan is also playing Champions Cup. That might have been what she might have got that for winning Am Worlds.
Probably.
Let's see. Let's make sure that we're not talking crazy here.
We do be doing that. Come on.
I do not see Am Worlds last year. Seems like last year she started playing Open. Let's go 2021 because I remember the tournament we're talking about.
Yeah, as I say, like I remember somebody literally saying like, "Watch out for the Linz. They're about to go 1-2 at Am Worlds or something like that."
Nothing.
What are we thinking? What did they go 1-2 at that everybody was losing their mind over? And how did you qualify for Champions Cup? Or I guess you don't have to.
Maybe you don't have to.
Anybody gets in Champions Cup. We could have got in this year.
She did play well at New World Championship, which was technically last year.
All right, one to watch for the future. That's all there is to say.
Throw down the mountain. Oh, there it is. Am Worlds. Thank goodness. She came in 4th.
Dang, dude.
Candace Bergs won. Jordan Linz came in 2nd. Morgan Linz came in 4th.
They went 2-4.
2-4. Still someone to watch. We did know what we were talking about.
We are good at journalism.
All right. It's time for Trevor's Trivia. Trivia with Trevor.
Okay.
What do you got for us?
So, since we're at Collegiate Nationals,
yeah.
I got a really fun one here to do. We're going to do a college mascots quiz.
Relive your junior year, Hunter.
No. We're going to do a college mascots quiz.
Oh, heck yeah. This should be done for you.
Now I'm scrolling.
Because you're filthy at this.
I'm curious to see how good you can do at this.
I'm not great.
Okay, this one does get slightly harder. It's going to start really easy, and then it's going to get a little harder.
Okay. Are all these schools here?
Probably most of them, but definitely.
This is just like a college basketball or college.
This is just college mascots in general. In the spirit. I know people love these kind of quizzes. Okay. University of Florida.
Gators. Go Gators.
Ohio State University.
Buckeyes.
So you got to know that. We
may
or may not be playing them tomorrow. University of Oregon.
Ducks.
Auburn.
Tigers.
Right.
That one was scary.
USC.
USC Trojans.
Nice. He's on a roll, folks. I think we'll just go till you miss one.
Okay.
University of Michigan. I mean, you better know.
Aren't they just...
Oh, my gosh. It's literally...
Go Blue.
What?
Wolverines.
Thank you.
Golly.
It's like, Hunter.
Well, because they always say go blue.
Yeah.
Wolverines. I got it. I locked in.
University of Georgia.
Bulldogs.
Yes. Oklahoma. University of Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. You might get me there.
It's a weird
Sooners.
one. Oh, there you go.
What is a Sooner?
Sooners were people who settled in the area that is now Oklahoma.
Okay.
These settlers were looking for land and better opportunities.
All right. There you go.
University of Miami.
Ducks.
That is what their mascot is.
Hurricanes.
Okay.
It's the Miami Hurricanes, but their mascot is a duck.
I'll give it to you.
It's a mascot quiz.
Right. Technically, like the school's mascot.
Yeah, Miami Hurricanes.
Okay.
But your mascot's
I'll
a
give
duck.
it to you. I know you knew. Really, it's bonus points for knowing that. University of Texas.
Longhorns.
Yeah. Louisiana State. Now it's LSU.
LSU. Tiger.
I don't know why I said it so confusing.
Well, you said Louisiana State, and I was thinking of like the team in the A-Sun or whatever.
This would be a
State.
tough one. University of Nebraska.
University of Nebraska. No. But they wear like
Nebraska wears red and white.
Yeah, but their mascot's like a mountain man.
The big N. Their mascot has something to do with agriculture.
The tractors. I got no idea. Oh, they're the Huskers.
The what Huskers?
Corn?
Yep, the corn Huskers. I'll give it to you. That was pretty impressive. You pulled that out.
What is their mascot?
I have no idea. It's probably something random.
I'll look it up later.
Georgia Tech.
It's a bee.
Yeah.
But is it like a specific, like a hornet or a wasp?
No, it's not either of those.
But it's a bee.
Yeah. What's like another
Yellow
thing?
jacket.
There you go.
The Yellow Jackets.
There you go.
They used to be Georgia Tech used to be in ACC.
Maybe at one point.
Or was it Georgetown?
Georgetown
I think it was Georgia
big,
Tech.
Yeah.
I think it was Georgia Tech.
Yeah. Okay. Michigan State.
Spartans.
Yeah. Florida State.
I mean, they're
this could be it.
Is it as simple as an Indian? But it's not.
It's not.
Because but it's not a chief.
No.
But it's a specific.
Yes.
Florida State. Oh shoot.
This is gonna be it.
But
folks.
I'm on the right train of thought.
You are.
Yeah.
Comes in riding on the horse, throws the spear into the 50-yard line, like the logo.
I'm not gonna know the specific.
The Seminoles.
I wouldn't have gotten there, but I'd know it.
Let's look up Nebraska.
Yeah, I want to see their actual mascot. Like,
it's.
Is it like a mountain man?
No, well, kind of.
Is he a corn? Please tell me it's a corn.
No, his name is Herbie Husker.
They should have had corn on the cob.
And he's just like kind of a cowboy looking dude. That's
okay.
Herbie Husker.
That's not who I was thinking.
What was this? Who's Little Red that I'm seeing?
Little Red?
Is that a different mascot? Oh, it's just maybe like that's Little Red. He's inflatable.
I've never seen that.
There you go. That was pretty good. You had your own.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
The Huskers, man. You pulled that one out of nowhere.
That one came out of thin air.
That's a tough one.
I should have just thought, once you get to a certain point in the country, driving, it's just all corn.
Yeah, pretty much.
You could give me an Illinois team, and I would have said just corn.
Illinois is actually...
The Fighting Orange.
No.
The Illini.
Yeah, the Fighting Illini.
Oh, the Fighting Illini.
Yeah. Isn't that so? I'm pretty sure that... I don't think they're the Fighting Orange. Syracuse, their mascot is literally an orange.
Yeah,
Otto the
Syracuse
orange, which is awesome. Best mascot ever.
All right, so we're going to do a little bit of a preview here for college disc golf National Championship, which is about to go down again this week. That's why we're out here. The actual preview show for Music City Open, which is also going on this weekend, that'll be obviously its own thing. So separate show. We're still going to shoot it. It will be on audio this week.
Yeah.
I already hear the comments.
Shout out to everybody who pestered Hunter. We've never had more questions about something happening, like, ever. And it was people asking if it was going to go on Spotify. So
that's so funny.
You won him over. Shout out to the Spotify listeners, though.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Hey, there you go. It's going to be on all platforms, but the Music City Open preview show will go down this week. But we're going to kind of semi-preview you, kind of explain how college disc golf works. Because whenever we do these, I think a lot of times people just don't know. And then we'll kind of go over what the state of college disc golf is coming into this tournament. Yeah. So who are the teams to be looking out for according to the power rankings? Who are some of the like underranked teams that we've kind of heard people talk about, people are scared of out here? And then we can also look at the singles rankings because that's always fascinating too.
Yeah.
But so how college disc golf essentially works is the main scoring format out here is collegiate doubles. And how collegiate doubles works is you'll get a glimpse of it in the Bogey Row battle that we do out here. That will come out in a few weeks, I believe. But essentially, you're a team of 4. You split off. Audio listeners, I'm doing some hand motions. You have to stick with me. Your team of 4. Each you buddy up. So you have 2 teams of 2.
Yes.
Then those 2 teams of 2 play alternate shot doubles as if they're one person. So essentially, if Trevor and I, this will be the easier way to explain it. If Trevor and I are in a team, and you and your buddy listening are on a team, then Trevor and I tee off on all odd holes. So hole 1, 3, 5, and so on and so forth are always Trevor and I's tee. Trevor and I tee off, then you and your buddy pick between mine and Trevor's shot, whichever one's the best. You both throw from that. Then Trevor and I both play from the best shot out of those 2.
Yeah.
So only 2 people are throwing at a time, but it makes it where you have to have a deep 4 because you're only throwing every other shot.
It's basically like you and your partner are playing best shot within a best shot.
Yeah.
It's like you take the best shot and then play best shot from there. It's super simple. It just people can overcomplicate.
It's simple when you do it, but when you're trying to explain it, it's complicated. But what I love about it is it makes it feel like a team sport because how singles works is all four players play singles, and the 4 scores are averaged together to be 1 score. This is kind of there's been several iterations of how single scorings have worked. So if you've paid attention to this podcast over the years, you've heard us talk about different college disc golf single scoring. This one I think works the best because it puts the emphasis on the team. Right. Previous ones, there's been some where you just add all 4. There's been some where you drop the 4th and you only take your top 3. Yeah. But what that basically did was doubles was just a positioning play, and singles is all that matters.
Right.
What making the average does is the single scores are important, but they don't really hold that much more weight than your double score. Yeah. So it turns disc golf into a true team event. So when we talk about like college disc golf, it's different than college golf. They're actually doing a match play exhibition match out here this year, which should be fun. But it's not going to have any weight on the results of the tournament. But that's kind of how it works. So you'll see some scores that are collegiate doubles. You'll see 2 rounds of singles, and I think total it's 6 rounds all together.
I think it's only 5. Well, if you count the finals,
I might count the finals. I don't know.
I think it's just 3 rounds of doubles and 2 of singles.
But you can follow this all on obviously on the PDGA. They have live scoring going on this week. And like you said,
it'll look a lot easier now because the way it used to look when you'd look for the scores is you would see all of the scores added up. Yeah. So you would see like round 1, 60, round 2, 438. But now they'll all look like normal
Now they'll all
numbers.
Look like normal scores. So you can actually see where it's at. So coming in, I'll read you like the top 5 teams, men's team, and then the top 5 women's teams coming into this weekend. Number 1 team in the country right now is NC State. We've seen them a few different times.
We felt their wrath.
Were we playing their Division 1? There's also Division 1, 2, and 3. Teams can field Division 1, 2, and 3 teams.
That came out, right?
Them.
It did.
But was that their Division 1 team?
I don't even know if it was.
We lost to, well, there's a technicality that prevented the loss from counting, but score-wise,
we could have
on the scorecard.
Yeah,
had that technicality not happened.
They played pretty good scores.
They did beat us score-wise.
Yeah,
and that might not even been their A team.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure if it was.
NC State's always been
deep.
My last year that like on our team was really solid. Like they were the only ones that were competing with Ferris that year, which was like a powerhouse.
Ferris is always a powerhouse. We'll talk about them in a second. Number 2 team is actually a big storyline this year. We have Emporia State, coached by the Eric McCabe.
crazy. Celebrity coaching is now a thing.
It's a thing in disc golf.
Who else is
now.
going to take over a college program? I feel like that's like the next thing on the list for Paul. Like buy the disc golf properties. I feel like I could totally see Paul like trying to like take a college team.
Take on a college team.
I could totally see him doing that.
But
that would be sick.
We actually ran into a few teams in the parking lot. We were going to like talk to some of the people with college disc golf, verify kind of the media plan for the week. And while we were walking over there, we ran into some teams. We were like, hey, who are y'all like looking out for this week? Like who? And the first one out of their mouth said Emporia State.
I was really surprised. I asked them, I was like, you guys don't think like, I was wondering if they were a little overrated just because like with EMAC and like they're getting a lot of recognition right now. I was kind of wondering if people would just be overrated. They're like, no, like I think they're pretty legit. Like they haven't lost. So Emporia State, I mean, what a story.
Yeah, they're number 2 in the country.
I feel like they're going to have a target on their back.
They definitely will.
Yeah.
There's always one of those teams.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my college career, that was Ferris.
Yeah.
Prior to me, it was, I believe, Augusta. It was actually the team John Baker, who runs college disc golf, played for.
Dynasty.
They were a dynasty powerhouse. Dustin Perry, I don't know if he still plays disc golf or not, but if you were
Household
watching disc
names.
golf back then, you would know him.
College disc golf is like its own niche.
Dustin Perry expanded out. He was dirty. He was touring some prodigy
James
pro.
Proctor.
James Proctor,
college disc golf grad.
Nevada, Reno.
Yeah. Raven Newsom was an NC State guy. He's kind of newer to the tour.
Yeah.
There's guys out there. It's becoming
Lance
more
Brown's
and more
out
popular.
there. Jared Rohn has played some here and there. He was a college disc golf guy.
Yeah. There's a lot of really good players out here.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of 1,000 rated.
Robert Burridge.
Yeah, there you go. That's probably the best example.
Yeah.
Robert Burridge was a Michigan guy.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
So. Then third team coming in this week, Iowa State.
Cyclones.
I don't know too much about them this year.
Go Clones.
We also have Wisconsin Stout, which that I feel like they've kind of made a name for themselves over the past few years.
Yeah.
And then fifth, rounding out Texas A&M. They've always had a solid program as well.
They kind of went away for a few years, but they're back.
Now, some notable names that were big when I went to school that are kind of missing from this right now, but it won't surprise me if they still have solid teams. Mississippi State.
Yeah.
I don't even see them in the top 20. Ferris State, that was one of the schools that was mentioned when we ran into people in the parking lot. They're like, Emporia State, they're like, you're always got to worry about Ferris. Ferris is going to be very solid out there again this year. Ferris not in the top 20 right now, it doesn't seem. So that's fascinating. And we know also firsthand that Liberty has a very talented team.
Certainly. They'll be very competitive.
Sometimes they can struggle on the doubles front, chemistry-wise. But, I mean, they're ranked 7th in the country, and from what I understand, they feel they're severely underranked. So that'll be interesting one.
One of the interesting things about college disc golf that it's getting different. It's getting a little bit better, but a lot of these clubs are literally just that, clubs. Like some schools, it's a club sport. Other schools, it's just like student organized. So funding differs a lot, and what that results in is some teams can't travel, and even like the more funded teams aren't going to travel all the way to the West Coast a lot of times to play. So like nationals is really sometimes one time a year where everybody sees everybody.
Yeah.
So the rankings, like there can be teams that nobody had on their radar.
Well, that's what I remember.
They come out of nowhere.
When Jeff Corns played for Oregon.
Yeah.
And there was always only like one West Coast tournament.
Yeah.
And so
the West Coast teams always sneak up on people.
They would get out there, Oregon State.
Somebody definitely just aced.
Yeah. CSUMB, like a lot of those schools would play in their 1 or 2 tournaments, qualify for nationals, wouldn't be ranked, no storyline around them. And then like my freshman year, we come in and you can find coverage. I was on what was then called First Flight. Now it would be Division 2. But Oregon, I think, was on the coverage. Like they were the team that was fighting with Augusta. Augusta smacked them around a little bit. But it was a similar storyline of a lot like Emporia State hasn't really seen NC State, I don't think, this year. Mm-hmm. And NC State, I would be shocked if they've seen some of the West Coast teams. So there's a lot of teams that the rankings are as accurate as they can be. They're still like in the process of developing divisions, developing conferences, and this was the first year where there was like regionals and stuff like that going on. They're in the process of building all of that out, which I think will kind of help so you can understand like the powerhouse conferences and where teams are at in that. But the rankings they're always very cool going to nationals, but they never really hold that much weight because, like you said,
you kind of have to split them up.
No one's really seen them.
Yeah, like the Southeast beats up on each other a whole bunch. Like Virginia down to the Bamas and over a little bit. Like they play each other a lot. The Midwest and then the West Coast. Like if you kind of split those up, and you
never know which is the strongest.
No.
The Southeast ends up kind of getting favored slightly, mainly because this is the heart of
There's
college
disc golf.
There's a lot
of big programs.
This is where college disc golf originally sprouted from, was Georgia. So like Seco is one of the biggest nationals events that happens every year, and there's a lot of that in the Southeast. So I think a lot of teams in the Southeast sometimes come into nationals overhyped, overranked because they haven't seen the Midwest and the West Coast teams.
And then Ferris State travels down and kicks everybody's butt.
Yeah, then Ferris State shows up with Brendan Tetloff, and he just pops off in my face in the Mean 13, and next thing you know,
not the Mean 13, man.
Not the Mean 13. And Ben Clark, shout out to Ben Clark from Cincinnati. They had a solid team.
Cincinnati
I don't know if they
good.
still have a solid team now, but Ben Clark and Ben Edwards, that was a good time back in the day. On the women's side, we have Pellissippi State. I'll be honest with you.
Where the heck is Pellissippi?
We got to Google this team. We got to Google this school. What is Pellissippi State? They're the number one women's team coming in.
Women's disc golf, like I feel like every year has a sneaky team that just comes out of nowhere and is like so good.
Pellissippi State Community College.
I'm going to guess where they're at.
Guess where they're at. I'm still trying to find it. Out of Kentucky, all right.
Has to be, right?
Out of Tennessee. Knoxville, Tennessee.
Dang it. It had to be one of them.
All right, we got Pellissippi State out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Number 2 team, Missouri, coming in. Number 3, we have BYU. And then we got Liberty in 4, Oklahoma State in 5.
Dang.
Now, typically, women's will work slightly different. I don't know if that's still the rule, but typically what it was they were able to go teams of 2.
Yeah.
As they were playing a lot more traditional doubles and stuff like that, because it's a lot easier to field a team of 2 women than having to find a team of 4.
It was really hard for a lot of schools to find 4 women to field a team a lot of times, so they changed it to 2. I would assume they're still operating the same way, but that just makes it to where you can have more teams fielded, and that's what matters.
Because if you're a school with 4 players, you can field 2 teams.
Yeah,
it's how that ends up working out.
And if you've got and sometimes you'll have schools where they have one girl who's just incredible, and it's just find anybody walking around campus to play doubles with her, so she can just basically play singles and win.
Yeah,
that's what's happened a few times.
Yeah. Now on singles, these are the top 5 guys that it's saying to look out for. I recognize one of the names on this list.
Okay.
But we got Evan Cole, number 1 player in the country coming into this weekend. Rusty Denton. Davis York is the name that sounds familiar to
Georgia.
Me. Georgia.
I think he may have been a national champ. He's been there quite a bit, and he's really, really good.
We got Jacob Ligeber coming in 4th, and then Kyle King in 5th.
Kyle King. What
Benji Zorn is the 6th-ranked player. He also sounds familiar to me for some reason.
I haven't heard that name.
Benji Zorn. Maybe he just comments on stuff. I'm not sure. On women's side, we've got Genesis Beck, number 1 player in the country. Mindy Young, number 2. Macy Brannon, Alexis Kerman, Hannah Hunter. That's the top 5 right now.
Just great names.
Yeah. Now, what I love about this list is right now we don't know any of them. But give it a few years, and typically what ends up happening is, like you were saying, we just went down a list of several players that are now at least semi-familiar faces on the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
That is typically kind of what college disc golf develops, is if you're out here with the amount of quality players that now are ending up in college disc golf, if you're competing out here, there's a chance you could go out and make it on tour.
Right. I think it'd be really cool if the path to pro, I think as you're going to have a double effect as the money in disc golf gets bigger, you will have more kids opt out of college to go to the tour right away if they're good enough, but you also have more, as the talent level gets higher, you'll have more kids say, I cannot cut it on the tour, or I can't even get my tour card, and they'll go to college. And there's so many more programs offering college disc golf now. I mean, so many.
And there's a lot with scholarships coming in now.
Exactly. So where that, I think the path to pro could start going through college level. Because if you look at golf, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Tiger Woods, these are players that attended college that, even if it's just for a year.
Is there because I feel like that's the norm. Is players going to college? Is that not?
It's pretty common in golf just because of how competitive it is.
But there's no route. Is there a way to earn your tour card through college in golf?
I don't think so.
Should there be in disc golf?
I don't know. Potentially, it could be cool. I think it'd be great to make this, a proving ground, because I think after a few times of oh my gosh, that guy came from, imagine if Gannon Burr had come out of college. Obviously, he's younger than even that age.
He still could.
Yeah, but
give it time.
So if players like that start coming out of college consistently, more eyeballs are going to go to college, because now they're thinking, hey, this is where this is where you kind of get ahead of the curve and see tomorrow's talent. And the cool thing about college disc golf is because so many more schools are offering it, Google your alma mater. They probably have a disc golf team, and they might even be competing.
Well, that's what was so cool about, we had the Flamethrower, which is the Liberty's collegiate disc golf qualifier. It was a regional this year. 4 qualifying spots. You do have. That's another cool thing about this event is you do have to earn your spot in Division 1 and Division 2 on the men's side. You have to go place well enough at qualifying events to earn a spot to be here this weekend. Which is electric. I love qualifying sports like that. But Liberty was hosting one of the big qualifiers at Ivy Hill and New London, so the World's Preview that was going on out there. And one of the cool things was, I mean, we had Penn State, Michigan, BYU. I'm trying to think, UNC was out there. There were several like notable names that I think I talked about this on the podcast, but now that we're out here again, it's such a good opportunity to grow the sport, because what it did was golfers didn't really care that much. And then I started saying, well, yeah, so card 1's NC State versus UNC or whatever it may be.
Right.
And they're like, what did you say? I'm like, yeah, we got Penn State out here. Michigan brought a team in. BYU's out here.
Yeah.
And like they hear these big football schools.
College loyalty's no joke, man.
And they're like, oh, shoot.
Yeah, I got to go rep.
And next thing you know, you got golfers that are probably missing their tee time watching the cards come in, because they're like, I got to see these athletes from UNC. It like
adds legitimacy, right? Like you're like, oh, they can play this sport for the University of North Carolina, for example. Like they must be good. So I think
Clemson was another one that was out there.
Right. Yeah. It's one of the cool things. College disc golf is on the verge.
Yeah, and if you're just now hearing about college disc golf, what a great time, because again, College Nationals starts in 2 days. There's going to be coverage on Central Coast. We're going to be bringing you coverage on our Instagram and all of our social medias, really. And we're also going to be doing the nightly podcast recaps, where we'll kind of bring you the storyline as it happens, as it develops.
Get plugged in.
So this is a great time to become a college disc golf fan. Root on your favorite team if you got one from football or basketball, or just pick a random one. I mean, heck, like I said, if you root for Ferris State, you got a solid chance of winning some national titles.
True.
They got a great coach. I think they even have, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they also have scholarship there as well.
I've heard of that.
A lot of schools are going that route. So exciting times. Don't forget, so we have all of that going on this week. We also have the preview show coming out for Music City Open, which goes on this weekend. So lots of content coming your way. Hopefully you enjoyed this. I don't even know if it was abrupt or not. I feel like we talked a long time.
I don't know.
It was going to be an abrupt episode. There wasn't a ton going on in the disc golf world.
At least like 50 minutes.
But, all right, you know what? I'm still going to call it an abrupt episode of Grip Lock. But on site, lots of content coming your way. But other than that, we'll talk to you again next week with a recap of Music City Open and a recap of College Disc Golf Nationals. So a lot to talk about in Grip Lock next week. You're not going to want to miss it.